Before you listen, if you enjoy the stories and want to hear more, then please consider subscribing. Most of you listening aren't subscribed, so please take this time to subscribe. Turn on notifications so you'll never miss a story and be the first to hear. You'll also be supporting me. Thank you. I first heard hushed rumors about the dark web from some edgy kids at school. They made it sound like some scary, mysterious hidden network where you could supposedly find all kinds of illegal and taboo things if you knew how to access it. Of course, that piece of forbidden knowledge piqued the curiosity of my teenage mind. I became slightly obsessed with wanting to check it out for myself. When I got home from school that day, I immediately started researching everything I could about the dark web and how to potentially access it. All the advice I found was very consistent. Take extreme precautions if you ever want to explore the dark web safely. Use complex encrypted passwords, always root through a VPN, set up protective firewalls, all of that vital security stuff. But in my silly foolishness, I largely disregarded all the dire warnings about safety measures. I arrogantly figured I would just take a quick 5-minute peek onto the dark web out of curiosity. How dangerous could it really be if I was only on there briefly? I was too impatient and excited to bother setting up any type of precautions or protections before logging on. I just wanted to get onto the notorious dark web as fast as humanly possible to see it for myself. I downloaded a special browser called Tor that could access dark websites by routing traffic through layers of encryption. Next, I searched online forums until I found what looked like a gateway link into the dark web network. My heart was already pounding hard in my chest with anticipation. This was it. I was about to cross into unfamiliar and untamed territory online, a place they warned you to avoid unless you were highly prepared both digitally and mentally. When I clicked the gateway link, it first took me to a page that was essentially just plain text with a big list of site directories and URLs. It all looked surprisingly basic and rudimentary so far, nothing overtly spectacular or sinister that lived up to the fearful lore surrounding the dark web. But I clicked ahead randomly, not even sure what exactly I hoped to stumble upon. I was driven purely by the strong temptation to uncover forbidden knowledge. The first several sites I accessed were essentially just text-based lists advertising various illegal wares supposedly for sale, like drugs, fake passports and IDs, counterfeit money, even guns. It was creepy but honestly looked kind of fake and surprisingly mundane compared to what I had built up dramatically in my mind. But I kept clicking through link after link, fascinated by the glimpse into this hidden information that only those who knew how to access it could see. Eventually, in my aimless clicking, I came across a site that actually had photos of the illegal items for sale, including things like detailed close-ups of various narcotics and weapons. This made me realize that it wasn't all just text and rumors. This dark web marketplace was real. I was looking at actual illegal contraband, not just reading about it. I knew I should click away immediately, but I was strangely compelled to keep scrolling through the archive, mouth agape at what I was seeing. After gawking at the photos of drugs and guns for a while, my laptop suddenly froze up completely. Panicked, I vigorously tried closing browser windows and restarting it over and over to no avail. The screen went pitch black. Just as I was about to force a manual shutdown, the laptop abruptly powered back on. The dark website reloaded exactly where I had left off. Before I could even begin to process what had happened, my gaze suddenly fell upon my webcam light. It was on. The blood drained from my face and my heart almost stopped as I stared at that little green indicator light. I was being recorded. Someone had clearly hijacked control of my laptop's camera at the exact moment it froze up. Fueled by sheer terror, I reactively slammed my laptop shut and frantically yanked its power cord from the electrical outlet. Who knew how long my camera had been on? What if someone had been spying on me watching the dark web this entire time I was browsing? My mind was sent reeling into panicked overdrive thinking about all the ways footage like that could be used to hurt or blackmail me. I was far too afraid to open my laptop back up or even turn it on again for several days afterwards. I became plagued by intense paranoia that I was still being watched or tracked through my computer somehow. Maybe whoever took control of my camera had been perversely enjoying my terrified reaction at seeing the recording light on. Not knowing tormented me. When I finally worked up the courage to get online again, I followed advice to take extreme precautions with my security going forward. but the traumatic memory of seeing that recording light activated kept me far away from ever venturing into the dark web again, even out of curiosity. Just the thought of it still gives me chills years later. I clearly should have known better than to access the dark web with absolutely no protection in place. My curiosity got the best of me, and I'm so lucky things didn't turn out much worse given my recklessness. Who knows what would have happened if I hadn't caught the recording light on when I did. My friend Sam was staying over one night, and we were bored out of our minds, trying to find something entertaining to do. After hours of half-heartedly clicking through YouTube videos, we eventually got on the topic of the dark web. We had both heard crazy stories from others about the type of deeply disturbing stuff that could supposedly be found on hidden dark websites. Morbid curiosity was starting to get the better of us as we discussed all the urban legends surrounding it. A part of us was tempted to take a quick peek into the shadowy corners of the web just to see for ourselves what it was really all about. Neither Sam nor I had ever ventured beyond regular innocent internet browsing, but exploring the sinister underbelly of the web held a certain dark allure that was hard to resist. We went back and forth for a while, debating whether we should give in to curiosity or just walk away. We knew accessing the dark web was notoriously risky given the illegal nature of its content. But yet, the temptation was too strong to ignore. Eventually, we made a pact. We would take just a quick 5-minute look together on my laptop, then immediately log off and never access it again. With a mix of nervous excitement and guilt, I downloaded a special browser that could access the dark web's network of encrypted anonymous sites. My hands shook as I found a gateway link posted on some sketchy online forum. This was it, crossing into unfamiliar territory from which we could not return unchanged. As the page loaded, Sam and I exchanged tense, hesitant glances. Were we really doing this? My heart was already pounding hard. At first, the sites we accessed appeared surprisingly ordinary. We browsed pages illegally selling mundane things like fake IDs and passports. Honestly, it was all quite boring and not what we had built up in our minds. We kept nervously clicking from link to link, unsure exactly what we were even trying to find. The web really did seem darker and dingier here, though. The sites were basic text and flashing neon graphics straight out of the 90s internet. Everything had a shadowy, grimy quality unlike the polished sites we were accustomed to visiting. But despite the seedy appearance, nothing we saw at first seemed deserving of the fearful lore surrounding this part of the internet. Eventually, in our aimless clicking, we landed on a large marketplace site listing all manner of illegal contraband apparently for sale. The various sections had foreboding titles like weapons, malware, fraud, and hacking. One link near the bottom was labeled simply organs and body parts, which gave us pause. Exchanging uneasy glances, we hesitantly clicked it, wondering if it could possibly be real. The page that loaded instantly made us both recoil in horror and disgust. It was full of countless high-resolution photos of dismembered human body parts crudely displayed. The images showcased everything from eyeballs, skin, and tongues to full limbs and organs, all allegedly being advertised and sold on this dark market. We were completely unprepared to see such vile content and could hardly process that it was actually real. The site coldly listed details about each body part like they were just inanimate objects, slabs of meat for sale. Some even appeared freshly harvested with blood still oozing from the severed ends. The clinical descriptions of each human remainder turned our stomachs. We quickly scrambled to click away from the grotesque sight, feeling nauseous and deeply disturbed down to our cores. But in our traumatized fascination, we kept skimming numerous other terrible sites, guns, drugs, and even hired hitmen. The dark web apparently catered to every dark, depraved human desire if you knew where to look. We realized we had glimpsed just a sliver of the true evil lurking in the shadows of the online world. Having seen more than enough horror and human malignance to last a lifetime, we finally logged off the dark web, shocked and overwhelmed by what we had bare witness to. We stayed up late into the night nervously discussing what we had seen, hoping against hope it had all been some elaborate hoax. But deep down, we knew human beings were truly capable of such malevolence. The dark web merely provided an outlet. Neither of us could even shut our eyes to sleep that night. We laid anxiously tossing and turning for hours, unable to escape the vividly disturbing images now burned into our minds. I kept imagining a killer or kidnapper for hire lurking outside in the shadows or breaking in to get us. Paranoia had set in hard. Every little noise made us practically jump out of our skin. Exchanging panicked looks all night, we ended up barricading my bedroom door with furniture just to give us some peace of mind. When morning finally came, we mutually vowed to never access the dark web again. Our curiosity had warped into full-on trauma in the span of 5 minutes. In the following weeks afterwards, both Sam and I struggled to act normal and make eye contact around each other, a dark cloud hanging over us. We avoided being alone, constantly looking over our shoulders, feeling unsafe in our once secure world. Maybe we had seen too much. That brief glimpse into the darkness had shattered our sheltered innocence completely. My younger brother Zach recently told me about hearing whispers at school from some of the edgier kids about something called the dark web. According to rumors, it's a hidden network of encrypted websites where you can secretly buy all sorts of illegal stuff like drugs, weapons, and fake documents completely anonymously. Zach and I were both super intrigued, but also reasonably wary of actually accessing and using the dark web ourselves. It seemed dangerous, but also thrilling in a forbidden way that appealed to our teenage minds. We knew we should probably just forget about it and move on. But our nagging curiosity about whether the rumors were true started eating away at us. One weekend when our parents were out of town, Zach and I decided we would take a quick look together on my laptop just to get it out of our systems. We swore to each other we weren't going to buy anything, just browse around a little bit in order to satisfy our burning curiosity once and for all. First, I did a bunch of research into how to safely access the dark web without getting caught. I learned I needed to download a special browser called Tor, which would encrypt my internet traffic and mask my IP address. Zach kept urging me to hurry up and get on the dark web already, practically bouncing with excitement beside me on the couch. But I made him be patient, insisting I had to take every precaution before we logged on. After following some online tutorials, I was finally able to open a gateway into the dark web network and start very cautiously clicking around. The websites all looked exactly like I imagined based on whispers, very basic pages with black backgrounds and neon graphics, totally archaic looking compared to normal sites. It seemed eerie and sinister, but honestly also a bit lame and cheesy compared to how dramatic and fearful allure surrounding the dark web made it out to be. Zach and I first came across a bunch of pages that were essentially just text lists advertising various illegal products and services supposedly for sale, like drugs, guns, fake passports, and IDs. Zach kept nervously asking me in hushed tones if I thought they were real offerings or just scams trying to get Bitcoin. I honestly had no idea, but cautioned him we were absolutely not going to click on anything questionable or attempt to purchase anything no matter how tempting. We were only there to look around a little. However, after almost an hour of browsing those text-based sites, curiosity started getting the better of Zach and me once again. A thought kept nagging at us. Maybe we could buy just one small harmless item off the dark web, purely to test if it was real or not. When did we have to lose? After much debate, we decided to purchase a fake driver's license, which seemed harmless enough compared to the other more dangerous stuff advertised. I filled out a form with my personal info and uploaded a photo of myself, then paid the equivalent of $50 in Bitcoin. The site said our order was processing and should arrive within 2 weeks. Part of me expected nothing to ever show up, assuming it was just a scam. But sure enough, about a week later, a mysterious black envelope arrived in the mail addressed only to me with no return address. Zach and I nervously opened it, and there was a surprisingly high-quality fake license inside, complete with my face and details on it. Seeing that physical proof freaked us both out immensely. This meant the dark web was legit. The sites weren't just scams preying on the knave. The items being sold were very much real. Zach and I did hesitantly log back onto the dark web together once more, now even warier of what we might encounter. It felt more sinister browsing around this time, knowing there were definitely real criminals using it to sell contraband, and who knew what else. We avoided purchasing anything else, but fear and paranoia started setting in. Over the next couple weeks, I became consumed with anxiety over what we had done. What if the purchase had been recorded somehow and police would show up? What if shady hackers were spying on us now? Zach said he kept feeling like he was being watched everywhere he went. The overwhelming anxiety ended up eating away at both of us. Finally, Zach and I decided our only real option was to destroy the evidence and hope we hadn't made a horrible mistake accessing the dark web. One afternoon, we took the fake license out to our backyard and burned it in a little bonfire until it was just a hunk of melted plastic. As we watched that card go up in flames, we made a solemn vow to each other that we were absolutely finished messing around on the dark web. Our curiosity had clearly gotten the better of us, and we now knew the dangers were very real. That night, I completely wiped the Tor browser from my laptop and cleared out my full internet history just to be safe. Thanks for listening in. If you like these stories and want to hear more, then please subscribe and like and support this new channel. We have more stories for you to listen to.